Third issue, and one might suggest that, well, is this something where a time trend is going on? There was a big ruckus in the press, if you follow this issue, earlier or late last year, when all of a sudden, this, do you consider yourself pro-choice or pro-life? The pro-life number popped up, and it is a majority, barely, for the first time ever. And a huge to-do was made. Oh, the public attitudes are shifting here. What our data in looking at this suggests is, wait a minute, this doesn't look like those other charts. These are charts that since about 98 have been relatively flat. There's random wobble around the numbers. Are we obsessing about this number? Is this the beginning of a long-term trend? Or is this merely some sort of random noise? At this point in time, I look at that data and I say, you can't conclude that that's a permanent change. It's certainly a big blip, but is it just a blip or is it a real thing? One way to present this exact same data, if we present it in a chart that shows the pro-choice in green, the pro-life in red, and you see this little blip here is what we talked about. You just present it graphically and it looks a bit different, doesn't it? I look at this and I say, I see a public that's very, very divided here. And I'm very hard-pressed to say there's some big, major trend going on. More interestingly, in this case, we have presented people only with two choices. Are you pro-choice or pro-life? I want to suggest that I don't think that reasonably reflects the way people think about this issue. An alternative way of asking, do you think abortion should be legal under any circumstances, under certain circumstances, or all circumstances? So this is the hardcore pro-life. This top is the hardcore pro-choice. You got the biggest chunk of people who are adopting the middle position. Okay? And this is the chart, again, presented the other way that shows that. These are the people who are saying, well, under some circumstances, and the people who say never or always are considerably smaller. Well, maybe we could parse it even more. Do you think that, whoops, did I go? Legal in all, legal in most. Okay, oh yeah, four choices. Do you think it should be legal in all cases, legal in most, illegal in most, or legal in all? Again, you see the 50-50 division here, but look at the all or nothing positions and seeing how those are diminished. This is an issue on which people hold very nuanced positions, and I could run through that very quickly in terms of all the things that you see talked about. I think the consensus is somewhere around, I really don't like abortion, but I'm queasy about the government getting involved in it. Should we have parental consent for minors? Yes. Should there be an escape hatch for situations of abuse or irresponsible parentage? Yes. Should there be, should this be allowed in the case of medical issues? Yes. And in other words, you parse this out with a dozen different qualifiers and you get people going one way or another. And that is the people who are in these two middle categories. They're moving one way or another depending upon the reasonableness, as it sounds to them, of a particular position. So one last short, this is basically support or oppose Roe v. Wade, and this is, again, that same kind of chart about support number, opposition number. You look at how that is tracked overall. This ties, it's a somewhat different wording because it's not just you pro-choice, pro-life, but you're associating yourself with existing law. But again, you look at the trends here. The red and the blue line are called regression lines. They're sort of the average of the dots. The big thing to me is those lines are pretty darn flat. In fact, if you add the most recently available survey, the blip is in an upward direction, but again, I think that's insignificant. You've got a lot of random noise, and the suggestion here is you have an underlying phenomena that is not changing radically. Unlike marijuana or gay marriage, where there's a clear direction to opinion, this one, you can get numbers to move, but time is not the variable. How you word the question and how you parse the issue. This is an issue I think people have thought a fair amount about, and there's no evidence of anybody changing their mind. A new poll comes out showing some difference. It's almost always going to be reflective of a question that was worded differently, not a change in underlying behavior.